Right, hello everybody. Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to our webinar. This is, of course, the AI-powered MSP. Today, we're going to be looking at the future of MSPs in the world of AI that we're finding ourselves in now. And we're going to have a look at some practical ways to leverage AI in your MSP today. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to leave this webinar with some things you can actually apply straight to your MSP. So let's just switch over to our presentation here. Pop us in the corner. First of all, who we got? This is Mark Pennington here. He is the CEO of Insights. And for those of you who've not met us before, Insights is our software product that plugs into ConnectWise PSA. We won't be talking a great deal about that today. We're going to be talking more about the overall experience of MSPs and AI when it comes to the industry. Mark is also the MD of EPX IT, which is a MSP here in the UK. And as you can see, him and his very clever team have won quite a few awards over here in the UK and has a very mature MSP considered amongst his peers. He's also a business growth mentor and is a facilitator for Evolve. So you might have seen him around.
Perfect, thanks, Dave. And to my right is Dave Coleman. So David's built an exit to startup tech businesses himself and does a lot of AI and automation consultancy for UK businesses as well. And for Sins is a technology YouTuber, so you can check him out there if you want to.
For my sins, indeed. I am a technology YouTuber. Sorry about that. Right, so what we're going to learn today, let's just quickly go over what we'll do. So it's kind of, if you've got your head to the ground in the industry, you'll have heard whisperings that MSPs will be evolving over the next few years into something called an MIP, or Managed Intelligence Partners. So we're going to look at how they differ from MSPs and what that journey looks like. And to try and put that journey into perspective, we're going to have a look at what we call the service desk intelligence ladder. And this kind of shows how a modern MSP evolves through the stages towards being an MIP, which we'll describe to you in a second what one of those is. Then we're going to have a look at where AI delivers some real world MSP values. We're going to have a look at how MSPs are already using AI today to become more efficient. We're going to touch upon things like policies and training, because they are the foundation really to getting any AI working inside your MSP. And then finally, we're going to have a look at what the future actually looks like. What is this big picture that all the big players are talking about when it comes to MSPs evolving into a managed intelligence partner? And also along this journey, we're just going to point out where our software can slide into this intelligence ladder as well to help get you up on that journey.
Perfect. So thanks, Dave. So to add some flesh to the bones regarding this transition between MSP and MIP, the MSP model, as it's being seen at the moment, is potentially going to be splitting. So what is a managed intelligence partner? So it's really looking at where an MSP that scales, and they class a managed intelligence partner as an MSP that uses AI for basically the heavy lifting. It's a business where AI agents handle much of the repetitive and noisy work. And the human engineer focus is more on communication, strategy, and really just having that human aspect when it comes to your relationship with your clients, not really the day-to-day grind in terms of what MSPs are probably seeing today. So again, the models where techs are the front of house and the AI quietly handles the bulk of the problem solving behind the scenes. And this is where it's going to start becoming where AI isn't really optional. It's going to become part of the service delivery in particular itself. And there's loads of applications of that today. And where that's going is quite interesting as well. So we're going to touch upon some of those shortly. And again, it's really just understanding MSPs who adopt early can differentiate, they can accelerate, they can win. The MSPs that ignore the shift can become commoditized, really just ticket processes. And that can be very expensive and very slow. There may be niche cases that's appropriate, but certainly with the industry moving forward as it is, we're certainly seeing it become early adopters' advantage, without a doubt.
Most definitely. So why is this shift from MSP to MIP going to happen? Well, as we're all aware, margins are under pressure across the MSP industry, and efficiency and gains matter more now than ever. So clients are expecting faster responses, their expectations are rising, they want clearer communication, proactive action, and consistently high quality. And we're at a point now where AI is advancing at an unprecedented speed, really. There's new capabilities coming out monthly, not just yearly anymore. Mark tells me that if you with Evolve, you'll already know the idea of a curve jump. So just to explain it, with a curve in the MSP industry being like the next big thing that comes along. So one curve was break fix model to being an MSP, and then on-prem moving to cloud. And if you don't keep jumping onto the next big thing, the next curve, you'll just slide down the side of the last one and you'll get left behind. So in this case, the next curve that's coming is artificial intelligence. And it introduces a new operational mindset of having AI first problem solving, where the first action's basically consulting intelligence rather than escalating or guessing. We're basically seeing that the MSPs who make this mindset shift will outpace those who rely solely on manual processes.
Wow. So to help actually visualize it, because AI is used a lot, but how do you actually incorporate AI in part of your service delivery practice in your MSP at this moment in time? So we like to visualize it as a service desk intelligence ladder. So how we sort of start on that ladder, the first rung of that ladder is your MSP. We've all been there. Most MSPs have probably moved beyond this, but this is kind of the first rung of the intelligence ladder, where your MSP is reactive, it's noisy, it's firefighting, it's inconsistent notes. Engineers are just escalating tickets everywhere because they just don't know how to solve things in a very logical, consistent way. So that's kind of level one. Hopefully, most MSPs are already beyond this. And then you get to your level two, where you start becoming more context aware in the service delivery. So your techs finally see what's going on. There's more dashboarding, there's a bit more structure, some processes in place. You've probably got a bit of documentation, password managers, all that sort of stuff is going on. And you're able to kind of have a bit of a higher view, a little bit more decision making, a strategic viewpoint in terms of what you're doing. And that's kind of next level. You then start elevating, and this is probably where most MSPs are and have been for a fair amount of time, is that predictable workflows where there are consistent steps, there's predictable outcomes, and repeatable processes. The service desk is mature, the businesses are quite mature nowadays. So actually, this has to kind of be your baseline for an MSP in order to actually even function, really. But what goes beyond this now in terms of the intelligence ladder? Because this is where most MSPs are sitting and some are elevating. So what does level 4 look like? This is where you start augmenting AI and engineering workflows. So how can you level up your current techs, and how can you do more with the resources that you have? So you can augment that. You can help engineers or dispatch with triage, ticket summaries, categorization, suggested fixes. Instead of the engineers looking for the information, spending time going out to documentation systems or Google or other places like that, can you provide the information straight to them at the time that they need it? So that's augmenting your current engineers and just elevating what you currently have. So that's level 4. Level 5 starts looking at being more autonomous. Can you get AI and AI agents to actually go off and handle tasks by themselves and handle the responses back in a way that requires less input from engineers or staff members within your organization? If you can do that, they can help resolve tickets quicker, probably without really much interaction, which means you can almost do things instantaneously. Now, that level is still requiring a lot of human oversight, probably a lot of approval from IT engineers to actually go off and execute certain things, but a lot of that heavy lifting is taken off for you. And then level 6, that's really where you start getting into the MIP readiness level. And that's really where, instead of actually humans are overseeing AI agents and sort of approving and executing actions, is where the AI is really doing the majority of the heavy lifting at this point. And humans are really just orchestrating those intelligent systems and really handling exceptions and things like that. Now, there's quite a few solutions and products that are coming out onto the market that hit level 4 and level 5. In terms of level 6, still emerging. That's not the view. This is what they're imagining the future is going to be like going forward. But again, escalating up this ladder is great, and we all want to do it and become more efficient and more effective MSPs. But how do you do that in a safe way? And again, we're going to be touching upon AI policies, governance, staff training a little bit later on.
I think the level 6 sounds a bit sci-fi at the moment, doesn't it? But the rate that AI is improving, you just have to see how things are going. You can see how it will get to that point. So before we just have a look at some AI use cases in MSPs and general businesses, I just want to take just a quick moment to talk about how you should go about finding use cases for AI in your own MSP. Obviously, the first thing to do is start by identifying where the biggest chunks of engineer time are going. What do your staff spend most time doing? So stuff that's the everyday grind, repetitive requests that come in, communication, every touch point with your client, writing documentation, escalations that happen over and over again, repetitive admin work. What is stuff that just keeps happening over and over again and just soaks up time in your MSP? AI and automation, they'll deliver the highest ROI where time is already leaking out.
Perfect. Yeah, and if you actually specifically look at a service desk, what can you do on the service desk? So again, can you, what tickets are reappearing over and over? Password resets, multi-factor authentication issues, onboarding, permissions, printer problems, slow PCs, that sort of stuff. Wherever you've got instances where you're dealing with more than 20 plus tickets a month of any particular instance, can you automate that? That's a prime case for AI and automation. So small gains in those repetitive categories really compound over time.
Spend some time and review your top clients' ticket patterns. So every MSP's got that small number of clients that are responsible for the bulk of ticket volume. We see that pretty much everywhere we look. So try pulling up the last 3 to 6 months of tickets and look for patterns. So the same issues that are appearing repeatedly, misconfigurations that never get resolved, tickets that always require manual steps. These clients become the fastest places to deploy AI-first improvements. While we're on that subject, something on our Insight software roadmap will do this for you. We're currently working on it because you probably thought, as those words came out of my mouth, the pain of actually looking through the last 3 to 6 months of your client's tickets, you'd get sidetracked, you'd never spot it. So we're building something that will spot that for you. And so far, it's very powerful. One other thing that we'd just like to mention, it's called Genchi Genbutsu. And this is a Toyota production principle from Japan, which basically means go and see for yourself. Go to where the problem is. It's the opposite of sitting in a boardroom and trying to guess at what the problems are. Go and sit with your engineers for 30 minutes, an hour. Watch the screens that they open, see where the delays happen, which tasks frustrate them, and what they repeat dozens of times per day. Because this hands-on observation reveals opportunities that you won't see in reports. You'll only see it when you're actually looking at real workflow behavior. And once you see the problems firsthand, the AI and automation opportunities become obvious.
Perfect. So one of the things that we wanted to start giving out some practical wins that you can actually do with AI in your MSP today. We've broken it into 3 levels, sort of one, an entry level, which we'll talk about in a moment, and then a couple of other levels if you wanted to start elevating up that intelligence ladder. Now, the first one is really straightforward, I hope, and I hope most MSPs are already actually engaging in this to a certain level, but it's trying to prompt and really spur some ideas off the back of this. As probably leveraging some of the tools and services you already have. So it's Copilot and ChatGPT predominantly. And again, when you're actually looking at the intelligence ladder, this is really sort of a high level step 3. So it's looking at predictable workflows. How can you just augment your team and your staff further beyond where they currently are at the moment? So, and again, there's a few examples that we have. And again, it's writing polished quotes from rough notes. Can you go to meetings and can you get AI to transcribe those, but then automatically convert those, if it's a sales meeting, into notes or scopes or things like that. That's something that we definitely started doing with our MSPs. It just saves a huge amount of time with that. Rewriting awkward emails or awkward or unclear emails. I use it again. It's just so easy and straightforward just to do it. Just to be able to I quite often speak to Copilot just to get out what's in my head, and it just gets me 80-90% of the way there, and just saves so much time and so much more eloquent than I am.
And it's great to keep communication consistent as well, especially if somebody where emotions are high in an email. You need to keep that level professional when you respond. It's great for checking over what you write.
We do for that, exactly. And it's things like, can you get faster input or responses to questions like, if you've got HR policy or people management guidance. Now, this doesn't replace the external expertise, or if you have internal expertise of those, but it certainly aids in terms of actually guiding you with what you might need to do in a certain situation. If you're able to hook up your SharePoint, if you've got your HR documentation stored there, quizzing that, creating agents to allow interaction on that. Again, doesn't replace the expertise, but certainly will help you speed up the process and making sure decisions are aligned to your processes.
With the HR as well, it can help you do things like brainstorm. If you need to sit down and have difficult conversations, it can help you plan what might come up in that conversation. So it makes you really prepared.
Yeah, exactly. And again, this is a really big one from experience for us. It's project scoping and risk brainstorming. So again, off the back of our account managers might be going out having client meetings with clients, and they come back with scopes. We have had issues with bottlenecking within our project scoping, with our technical team trying to get the scopes out in a timely manner. So can we use Copilot to actually, off the back of historic scopes and off the back of the notes from meetings, can it get 80% of the way there in terms of scoping out a project and brainstorm any risks? And off the back of that, can it make standard operating procedures or checklists doing that? I know for that has really saved a huge amount of time and really increased the throughput of what we're doing within certainly our project scoping, which is a massive benefit to us. So there's a few ideas there, hopefully using tools you already have within your MSP.
Fantastic. So the next one we want to talk about is just moving up to that next step on the ladder. So AI-augmented engineers. And for this, we're going to use our tool Insights as an example because it fits perfectly into this category. So those of you that don't know, Insights sits inside every service ticket inside ConnectWise as a pod. So when a ticket's opened, it's there presenting information and helping engineers solve tickets faster. So just a few of the things that Insights does, which will augment your engineers with information that's already in ConnectWise, but pulls it out when it's needed. It'll do things like surface past tickets that are related to the ticket that you're on, and it will show you how they were resolved to see if it applies to this ticket. It's able to give suggested fixes based on the context of the current ticket as well, which eliminates searching around and finding information. And if it can't find it from your previous PSA logs, then it could find it from its training data and out on the internet. It can summarize really long ticket histories, especially ones that get escalated and there's just loads and loads of notes on them. The escalated engineer can just read the summary of all the important things that have been tried already, so they know not to try those things before, without having to just read through reams and reams just to get up to speed. It improves the first time resolution for your juniors, your level ones. It empowers them to solve more on their own, which has a drastic knock-on effect of reducing escalations. It gives you consistent communication with your clients. So it drafts professional updates from technical job notes ready to send. And again, that feature on its own can save 3, 4, 5 minutes per ticket. And when you think of doing thousands of tickets a month, that saves hours every month. So that was level 2. That is an example of a tool you can plug in right now with very minimal changes to your habits that will help you climb up that ladder.
Yeah, perfect. I think the third and final example that we've got here that you can actually implement with your MSP now is really you can start getting up to step 5, so it's your autonomous processes. So it's starting to look at third parties or external systems that can automate your repetitive tasks. So you can use workflows, or you can use third party systems like Roost or Make or Power Automate, things like that, where you can automate password resets, MFA rollouts, or MFA lockouts, starters, leavers, mailboxes, and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot you can do with these tools, and they're emerging and they're developing and they're growing. And there's big communities behind them as well, where they work together to try and automate and make more efficient the things, which is great from a developing your MSP perspective. You use AI to validate scripts and changes, so it can draft PowerShell scripts as needed. It can validate data completeness. It can prevent mistakes. So there's a huge amount that you can do with these level 5 techs. And again, AI agents assisting engineers. So it's again, engineers controlling the workflows. So there'll still be oversight of those engineers, making sure that they're doing what they should be doing, and if there's any exceptions, so they're not perfect, making sure they're actually being dealt with. But they can take out 95% of the actual physical work by using these types of tools. And again, some of the other examples that these systems can provide is clients' self-serve portals powered by agents. So again, the client can go onto a portal, raise a ticket, and off the back of the ticket, it can automatically create users or do permission changes or do password resets without really needing interaction. It might need approval, depends how you want to set it up. But as soon as the client raises it or the user raises it, assuming everything's all green and ticked, it just goes off and does it. So there's a huge advantage of doing things like this.
So if there's any doubt that we are indeed moving towards managed intelligence partners, I'll say a lot, like some MSPs that we know are already implementing this kind of thing, and at least one of them has eliminated 30 to 40% of the most repetitive tickets that they have. This is happening now, and people are already starting to pull ahead. So what's the real impact of AI on an MSP service desk and on service delivery? Well, obviously, it's the time that's saved. It cuts out repetitive admin work when it's put in correctly, and creating things like documentation. And as we've said before, even saving 2 or 3 minutes per ticket becomes massive across hundreds or thousands of tickets a month. AI, it can check work. So it can summarize complex histories and catch details that humans miss. So it standardizes processes and outputs. For example, fewer copy and paste errors and fewer missteps. You can use it for reuse of proven fixes and knowledge. It makes it easier to reuse your past fixes, to tap into that knowledge and you establish solutions. So tribal knowledge, the knowledge that lives in your staff's head, it stops living in their heads and becomes accessible to everyone, which also safeguards you against staff turnover, tribal knowledge walking out the door. It's no longer a problem if your past successes become a reusable asset. Helps with the communication, keeping a calm and professional tone, even if tensions are high or clients are stressed. And obviously it gives a faster ticket turnaround, which leads to improved SLAs and happier, better informed clients, better CSATs, things like that, which is what we're all after.
Definitely.
So where is all this heading? What is the big overall picture that everybody is seeing, that the industry's shouting about? Well, the future MSP, it doesn't look like it's going to be massive teams solving hundreds of tickets, not like you've just taken today and scaled it up. It's going to be still teams of people, but highly skilled people, which are orchestrating a fleet of AI agents. Now, I said earlier, that still sounds like sci-fi at this point, but you can probably see it's the way that things are going. With what we've just looked at, the automations that you can put in place. So agents will be handling the repetitive work, the tasks, the prep, the triage, the documentation, and basic troubleshooting, which leaves humans to handle the communication, the really complex problems that AI can't solve yet. Things like architecture and strategic work, you still obviously need people to go out to site and install servers and do cablings and restart routers and things like that. But this is basically what the MIP model in action will look like. A smaller group of people, well, the same amount of people you've got now, but taking on more work by using AI agents, basically, to do the repetitive stuff. That is what an MIP is. That's what it looks like.
Thanks. So that's great. That's lovely. But the reality is actually going off and just installing and utilizing all these tools without really understanding what the policies and guardrails are regarding it can be quite dangerous. So one of the things that we try and work with our clients about, and actually not from Insights, but also within my MSP, and applying it to my MSP, but also to our clients, is how do you use AI in a safe, scalable, responsible way? So one of the things that we do talk quite a bit about is AI policies. Well, so what is an AI policy and what should be defined by it? So some of the things that it may include is what can AI be used for? What data is allowed to be shared in it and within the prompts? What security rules around it? What's the approval workflow for expanding those defined policies? What's the logging and audit? Are we able to keep track of who's putting what data in what systems? What template prompts can you provide to your team? And what are the approved models and tools that you can use? Because it's things like client data. Do you know if you or your team or your clients are using ChatGPT free and they're copying and pasting client emails into that? That should be a big red flag. That should be a no-no. So one of the foundational bits that we really want to be focusing on is how do we use AI responsibly? Because it's fine buying these tools and installing it, but really, how do we make sure that we're doing it in a safe, scalable way?
If you stick around to the end, our next webinar will be on the very sexy topic of AI policies. We'll try and make it interesting. That's
Some jazz hands.
So staff training and AI literacy, we'll just blast through this now because time's getting on. So obviously AI training is important, but it won't happen on its own. Engineers are going to be needed to have training in things like AI first troubleshooting, AI first thinking, the basics of prompting, having a library of prompts that work, that are tried and tested in your MSP, that people can copy and paste to get the best out of AI. Spotting hallucinations, learning how to evaluate accuracy. That's a very important thing to teach. Obviously, safe data handling, permissions, what they're allowed and not allowed to copy and paste when it comes to data. Teaching how to convert notes into polished documents is great. That's a goldmine. That's really low-hanging fruit you can get to save a lot of time. And when to trust AI, similar to the hallucinations, until it gets more robust, how to use common sense for big changes.
Perfect. Thank you. So what is the starter plan? What can you do to kickstart this going with your MSP? So the good thing is appointing an AI lead, someone that's passionate, someone that really wants to drive this internally. Implement your AI policies, as we just discussed. It's really important to get the foundation, the guardrails in place so you can't guiding those people and knowing what they need to do. Identify some easy workflows to start automating. Again, implementing those micro automations. It's a slow, gradual improvement for that. Train your engineers, as Dave just mentioned. Adopt insights. But it is all really about measure, refining and scaling what you're doing. It isn't about big silver bullets of new bits of software and shiny new bits of kit to come into doing it. AI and implementation of that is, like I said, it's that journey, it's that intelligence ladder. You take steps that are on. If you try and get to 6 without really going through the steps, it's very difficult to do that.
We'll just touch upon very quickly, we'll blast through. I just wanted to cover again what Insights does to help you accelerate on that journey. So again, it can surface your past fixes, get your historical fixes to the surface. It can empower your L1s to be far more capable very quickly. Your escalations reduce because people aren't reinventing the wheel each time, and it transforms your PSA history basically into structured intelligence. And it does all of this inside ConnectWise. If you are not currently using Insights and you would like to book a demo, please leave a note in the chat. We'll get back to you. We offer a completely free 2-week trial, no payment card required, no limits to Insights, the software. You can make sure it's a good fit with your MSP before signing up. Very simple to set up, takes less than 20 minutes, and we've got a great onboarding wizard. You can visit our website, insightsmsp.com, or scan this QR code. And I noticed we've got a few existing clients joining us today. So as always, you can schedule some refresher training with us if you'd like to go over any of the new features we've introduced recently. And we have a champions program where we introduce the latest features for our power users to try and give feedback on, which really helps shape the direction of Insights for the future.
Perfect. All right, I'm conscious of time. We've got a minute. So actually, what would be good is maybe just show the last slide and we'll just do a Q&A for the people that can stay on.
Sure thing. Okay, so if you are free, put it in your diary for the fascinating world of AI policies for your MSP and your clients. we'll be providing some templates for you, as well as talking you through the things that absolutely have to be in there that will protect you, form a foundation of building AI in your MSP. And that's on the 22nd of January, 2026. Sounds very futuristic, doesn't it? 2026. 3 p.m. Sorry, that should say GMT. We're no longer in British summertime, but that is 9 a.m. Central and 10 a.m. Eastern for our American friends. If anybody has any questions they'd like to type into the chat, we will address those. Else, thank you very much indeed for watching, and thank you for your time. And we look forward to speaking to you.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Right, let's have a quick look. Right, so I've got one question that came through for that, Dave. So, sorry, I've got a second note. We've just got one. Does AI replace engineers?
Well, I know certainly we like to think that it is going to be augmenting engineers, not replacing them. It will empower them. It gives people superpowers, basically. So as long as they know how to use it and get the best out of it, it possibly in the future will stop you hiring more engineers because you'll be able to scale faster without having to take on a larger headcount. You want anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think I think my perspective on it is that I think AI just allow you to do more with the same. So we look at things like engineer to endpoint ratios, that sort of stuff. And so what we're foreseeing is that we just see that increasing. Engineers can look after more endpoints from that. But I think what we need to do is really start really seeing what the value as an MSP currently does for our clients, and then seeing where that looks like in the future. So, much like, I remember back in the day, I've been running my MSP 20 plus years, 70% of our tickets used to be broken. Something's broken, fix it. And 30% was changes. It's flipped the other way around. It's 80% are changes, 20% are fixes. It's just how it is. Things are a lot more stable, and that's where, again, with AI and automations, it's just going to be taking that heavy lifting off. So it's revisualizing where your MSP is. I know a lot of MSPs a lot of people I speak to are like, oh, we can get AI to handle your calls coming in and things like that, and you're just like, that's not an experience I would want as a customer to consume that sort of service. I still want to work with people, so it's not replacing people. It's just taking heavy lifting off, basically, and being quick about it.
Anything else interesting?
No, I think that's the only question we had through at the moment. So, if you do have any further questions, we would love to hear from us. You'll feel free to drop us an email to hello@insightsmsp.com, and we'll certainly go back from there. But we'll send out this video as a link to everyone who's attended. So we appreciate your time today.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.